Hello, welcome to this week's edition of WCS Sports Connection Game Day. I'm your co-host, Jeremy Qualls, and with me, as always, my co-host, Tate Mathews. You were on location on assignment last week. Glad you're back. And with us as we continue our Athletic Director series is the Summit Old Sparty Athletic Director, Chad Kirby. Chad, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you having you here. Let's talk. Let's talk a little bit about fall sports. We'll get off into all the fall sports that we can possibly get into. Let's start with volleyball. Warren Riker down there. Warren's doing a great job. Warren has helped me tremendously at the level of that I'm at with all kinds of things as far as all of his abilities to be able to put together unbelievable artwork and all kinds of things. Now, I know that translates into the volleyball side because he's shown me some things that he'd like to do at Summit, and I know that he's also been a part of the logo, if I'm not mistaken. But he has some his abilities outside of coaching. Let's just talk about that real quick. It's pretty uncanny, especially with his photography and all the expertise that he has there.
Oh, yeah, Coach, he's very talented. I mean, very, very talented. He could probably triple his salary if he just give up teaching and coaching and go do that professionally full time. I mean, he would make a lot of money because everything you see at Summit is probably a product of Coach Riker.
And that kind of goes into the pride, too. It's hard to find a person that has that pride for your school and comes in and doesn't worry about how much it would cost or anything. He just takes care of that on his own because he has that pride for Old Sparty.
Oh, yeah, he does that for he does the team posters for all the different sports and, did the WCS poster. And but, yeah, basically we pay for the printing and he does everything else just because he's a good guy. And
I guarantee you that we have the best, or Summit for sure has the best team calendars, schedules, posters than anywhere. I mean, I'll include that on college level. I mean, his work is unbelievable. And just to say what you're talking about the billboard, we've had people from Chicago and Michigan here visiting our schools, and they saw that and complimented and talk about that's the best poster they have seen. And that, I mean, you're talking now nationwide. So, I mean, he brings a lot to the table outside of coaching. But let's talk about the year that the volleyball team had. Roster young or graduating a lot of seniors. What do we expect for the upcoming season? What do we have this season and what we expect for next year?
Well, we graduated one senior is all we graduated. You know, we're still fairly young. That's probably going to be the common theme across the board in this entire conversation. As we're still, what people don't realize is we're still young, even though this is our fourth year in existence. I mean, we're slowly building everything. We didn't have the success we wanted to district record-wise, but outside of the district, very successful. And, Coach Riker and I have talked a lot about, it's going to take that signature win in volleyball to kind of get us over the hump so we can start competing in the district. But as far as our non-district record, I mean, maybe 2 or 3 losses the entire year. So we're headed in the right direction.
You mentioned everybody's young. You think about it in football, obviously. That's the one people always think about. But you got to remember these other sports, too. They've been playing. They were all freshmen and sophomores and freshmen and sophomores. They got to learn how to win, too. They got to form their program, too. And then, they're doing it against the best district in the state, maybe in the Southeast in volleyball. So, you got to think going into the senior year, they're starting to learn how to do those things. The non-district games they're winning. So it just like football, just like basketball, it's a process for them too.
It is. I mean, it really isn't it. And what people don't understand, and some of our kids don't understand, and sometimes even I'm guilty of being a little bit impatient, is it's hard to stick with something if you don't get immediate results, and it takes a little bit of vision to see where do these other schools start? How long did it take them? And if you can see a little bit past right now, we don't want to look too far in the future, but if you can see just a little bit past right now and continue the grind and continue to stay with it, the success is going to happen. But it's tough. There's pressures from outside. There's pressures from inside. There's parents. There's, everybody else sees everybody winning, and
right.
Why aren't we winning? So it's a little bit. It gets frustrating at times, but we're getting there.
You've been open for 4 years. You're in a part of the county right now that's growing as fast as anywhere. There are homes being built there in the south end of the county. In another year, you won't be the new kid on the block anymore. Nolensville will open. In 4 years' time, something from nothing. I know, that's something that y'all kind of, you went from scratch to where you are now. you're sitting right now currently 4th place in the Directors Cup. That's not anything to pass on right now. You're separated in 3rd place. I think Franklin's sitting in 3rd right now. You're right behind them by not a whole lot of points, but you're sitting right in the middle of the pack, and that's something to be proud of in your 4th year of existence.
Oh, we're extremely proud. I mean, we don't view our athletic department as a negative of the school. I mean, you know, I know full well when people think athletics, they think of one thing, and that's football. We know this. We watch it on Saturdays and on college football and everything. That's just where we live. But other than our football program, we've been extremely successful in just about every other sport, and especially this year.
Well, let's talk about football now. You know, it is a front porch of your school, and I tell you what, I loved. I came out to a couple games this year. Crowd-wise, it's great. You know, we've talked about it all year. I mean, Old Sparty, you know, your kids' student section right now is great, fantastic. They're going to support, be there, have a great atmosphere out there before the game. You have a lot of tailgating going on. Only thing that's missing are the wins. Now, it's hard in 4 years, especially in your major sports, football, basketball, baseball, etc., to get in there to where these other teams are right now. But how close are we to getting there?
Very close. And I'm talking with Coach Coleman. I'm not speaking out of turn or anything. We're expecting a successful season. Now, what does success look like? We'll see. But we're not going to be staring at an 0-10 season. I can pretty much guarantee. I'm not going to get on there and make any guarantees. But we're going to win football games. The pieces are in place. Coaching staff, we got a great coach staff. We've hired some new pieces to the coaching staff. Got some different, some new kids coming out in the hallways and that sort of thing. So we're going to be okay.
And it really is the toughest sport because of the physical nature of the game. You were at Ravenwood. You weren't there the first year, but you came there after a couple years and were a part of that thing. You all won the state championship, I think, in the 4th, 5th year. So you've seen that thing happen. And it really was, I mean, when the light came on and when those boys got older, it's a huge difference. Do you talk much with him, with Coach Coleman? I know you let him run his program, but hey, here are some things that I saw in our process at Ravenwood. You give him much of that?
Well, we talk a little bit about it, but we're still not comparing apples to apples.
Right.
Or anything. You got to understand that 2005 class at Ravenwood, that was some special kids.
Yes.
I mean they were good now. I mean, very good high school players. Some of them went on to play college, but. You know, the coaching staff was a strong coaching staff. It had a good mix of experience and youth and energy and that sort of thing. So it was almost the perfect storm, and we hit it just right, and got it going, and we were
had a really good quarterback,
real good quarterback, real good middle linebacker, 2 good outside. I mean, we were good at every position. We could run. And it was a talented group, and it was one of the first times that those kids wanted to win every bit as bad as what the coaching staff did, and they challenged us as well. So it was the perfect storm of all at one time.
Right, but even them, 2 years before, they were getting, like you were talking about. It was hard for them to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Man, we're getting drummed here every week. It's just part of that. It's just part of when you start a new school in football. You got about 3 years of that, 4 years of that, and then you got to learn how to win.
And the other difference was the first year at Raymond was a JV schedule,
right.
Whereas we played varsity right off the bat, even though we were in the AA or AAA.
But it was a tough AA.
Yeah, I mean those schools were good. I mean real good, and they didn't. I don't think any of them cared one bit that we didn't have anything but a sophomore on the field.
And they didn't take it easy.
No, they didn't. It was that was a struggle. It was.
You know what? And I always, I'm superstitious as a coach. Karma always comes back, and there'll be an opportunity to probably get those. You're still looking for that first home win. I look forward to seeing that. I think it's going to come next year. I'm going to go ahead and predict it that it's going to happen. The first ever Old Sparty win at home. We have a new alignment for your region this year. Let's talk a little bit about it. Shelbyville. Let's see, Lincoln County, Columbia Central, Franklin County,
Stewart's Creek, Laverne,
Indy,
and
Independence.
Right.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about that. I think you probably would agree, logistically it helps because of the fact that you don't have to travel as far. You're going south. Probably gate-wise, those southern portion teams ought to travel well and come. Maybe not as good as a Big Six rival in here in our sports conference. We still have a couple of those games. But talking about competitive-wise, you feel pretty confident going into the new region in football?
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, it's. I'm not taking anything away from any of those opponents that we're playing, but I mean, you turn on the news every Friday night, and Ravenwood, Centennial, Brentwood, predominantly. I know they were a little bit down this year, but they win it. They beat everybody. So yeah, it's going to be. I'm not going to say easier, but it might be a little bit of a relief that we don't have to go and play a traditional state caliber team week in and week out.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I think we took for granted, too, about how good our league really was this year. You know, you start playing, you see them play week in and week out, and they're playing each other. You really don't know. And then as you get deeper and deeper, you start to think, you know, they got a shot. They're pretty good. And, you know, I think that gives you a good opportunity to go outside, get you those wins, get some confidence, and then all of a sudden, those games have different meanings coming in when you've got a couple wins under your belt.
Yeah, it's you got to win to win. And I know that sounds stupid,
you're right.
But you have to win a game to understand how to win that game and what it takes, and that's what you have to do.
Give them that first taste, that confidence. Confidence is such a huge thing. You know, you came out, I think it was Spring Hill that you played off the bat this past season. Is that correct, at home?
Yep.
You thought we were going to get that win, you know, and if you do win that game, you probably get another win or two on the schedule. However, it didn't quite go in your favor, so and the kids' confidence level kind of goes down. They're thinking, hey, we're supposed to win this game, and we're fixing to go on to the 6A level and try to play. It just doesn't translate as well. But now that you can get a couple of wins, all of a sudden, somebody comes in, you have a little confidence, anybody can win that night.
Yeah, but I will say about that Spring Hill game, I mean, that might have been spectators and fans looking at it said, oh, you're going to beat Spring Hill. You flip that film on, you think, this game's going to be.
Yeah,
they got a quarterback with multiple SEC offers on that
absolutely.
team.
I mean,
And he's still there.
And he played well.
Yeah.
Are they on the schedule next year?
They are.
Yeah, he pretty much single-handedly did a lot of things that
he's a good
night.
player.
And I don't think at that time people realized how good they were or could be, possibility. But Old Sparty, let's talk real quick about your student section real quick going into those games. They showed up every night. They were there and hung on until the last second. I mean, what does that do for your school culture?
Oh, we love it, and we as coaches, we love it. Every night we go out to, whether it's basketball, footballs, or soccer, whatever event you're going, there's going to be, our kids are going to be there. And right now, it's just it's something to do. So what we're trying to turn into is it's now a can't miss event. I've got to go to the football game now because you know this is going to happen. This exciting and everything. So once that winning starts happening, I fully expect it to even grow and grow and grow.
Positive note: freshman team had a very, very good year. Tom Crawford, Ron Crawford's dad, was the coach. I know at one point we were leading the freshman league. Might have won it, I don't know, but very, very successful freshman season.
Yeah, with when we were a full freshman team with all of them healthy, which it's football, so that's not going to happen all that much. But they went undefeated. They lost a couple games when we didn't have a full slate of freshmen with us. But you know, yeah, we've got a talented group. We had a talented sophomore group last year, and to add that freshman group with that sophomore group, we should have some talented, you know, sophomores and juniors next year.
When we come back to WCS Game Day, we'll continue our conversation with Summit Athletic Director Chad Kirby. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Books by S.R. Lee. Lined up again and again, stacked, straightened, stored, they break rank, twist a bit, slide an inch, swing round, turn their backs, push away, circle, wander to the porch, hide in a corner. How they resist the neat rows humans associate with their work, assume to be their duty. Given a chance, they may be as chaotic as their readers.
Welcome back to WCS Sports Connection Game Day. We're sitting here with Athletic Director of Summit High School, Chad Kirby. Chad, let's get into the winter sports side of things. We just finished up our talk about fall sports and football. Let's talk about before we get into basketball, let's talk about our Wilco nominees, Jayla Grimes in wrestling. At one point in time, she was ranked the #1 wrestler in the state.
Oh, she's very talented. She's been a great athlete, great wrestler, track star for us, for the past 3 years. But yeah, she's the girls' side of wrestling. She don't get a whole lot of matches and that sort of thing. But as you see when the state tournament comes around, she's right there and competing. And there's a lot of boys that don't want to wrestle her. I can promise you that.
I can tell you one thing that I have seen in a short amount of time is where your wrestling program is. Now, you want to talk about you've only been there 4 years going, and you're in the state tournament this year as the dual on the dual side of things, and a lot of those kids are coming back, young kids. Program on the wrestling program is on the up and up for sure for some. And that's not an easy. We're not in an easy district or conference to even be wrestling. It's almost as high as volleyball, as good as it is in this area.
Oh yeah, Coach Miller, he's done a great job. He took over for us last year and has taken the program to the top. I mean, we won the region, and like I said, the team went to the state duels. And had some success. We got a bad draw in the first round. We had to go against Cleveland, which nobody wants to go against Cleveland anytime, especially the first round. But then we turned around the next day, and technically we win the match, but because of some rule things or whatever, the TWC said we didn't win. We lost, but we should have won, I guess. There was a rule infraction that wasn't followed by the other team, but we lost on the mat, but really we could have got in there and finished in the top 8 anyhow.
That really is amazing, and more than, obviously you've got some really good wrestlers. Coach Miller's doing a great job coaching. Wrestling is not the easiest sport to do. It's not for everybody, obviously, and to be good in the dual matches and the dual season, you got to have depth. That's something he's done a great job of. He's got a lot of kids out, man, and that's not always easy to do.
He's done a great job, and I'm more proud, and I'm not a huge wrestling. I don't know all the ins and outs of it. I'm learning and everything. But I'm more proud that our team went. I mean, it's easy. Yeah. Man, I had this individual that was great. It's like coaching baseball. Well, I got this real good pitcher. Well, I'm going to win. But he was able to take what's in our school and get in the hallways and recruit them and get them to come out for wrestling, and did a great job with them. But
got to have 14 guys if you're going to be any good at duels.
And I'm like you. I haven't been exposed to a lot of wrestling prior to coming to Williamson County, but go over there and watch him during the duels and just listen to him. Now, I've been around basketball coaches my whole life. You've been around baseball and football. You can understand all the pride that people have in their sport. Now, this guy has some serious pride, not only for Summit, but for the wrestling program. He wants to be Cleveland. That's his goal. He wants Summit to be the new Cleveland. And how exciting would that be if you got to that point, got kids out, all of a sudden, Summit becomes a powerhouse in wrestling and have a chance to probably return to the duels next year.
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, and success breeds success. The more success you have, the more you're going to get, because more people want to jump on your bandwagon. And his parent group is great. They support him. We don't have to worry about our wrestling program, because they're doing big things. I mean, it's exciting to see. And I'm happy for Coach Miller, because he puts the time in. He really does.
So let's flip the script. This was probably, if I'm not mistaken, the first sport that Old Sparty was successful in was bowling. I think that's the first state tournament appearance that you had in school history was bowling 2 years ago, 3 years ago, maybe, when you first opened. I know that was...
We won. Yeah, I think we won. I don't think we made it to the state, but we did win the district in girls and boys, I think, a runner-up or something like that. But Coach Montgomery, she's done a great job. I mean, we had some great success this year with bowling. We had a 300 bowler during the state tournament. So
how many times would it take? How many games would it get for you to get to 300?
I can tell you, because I saw him bowling over the ice break holiday. It would take him 2.5 games.
2.5 games. Well, you got Matthew Butler sitting right there. He's one of your Wilco nominees. I mean, let's talk about Matthew and the job that he did this year.
Oh, he was the bell cow for their team. I mean, he was the leader. He was the one, their number one. The way they seed him throughout the season, and did an outstanding job. And the boys, did make it to the state tournament. The girls had a great season as well with a district runner-up.
So, I mean, looks like wrestling, bowling going to continue their way up and going. Now, let's talk about basketball, because I think a lot of people agree with me. All the coaches that I've spoken to up to this point all agree that the power is about to shift south in basketball, especially on the boys' side of things, if not the girls as well. I think Independence and Summit coming into next year is going to have the two best teams in the district. Can never count out Dennis King and Brentwood, obviously, every year, but I really think deep down that Summit has a chance to win the district tournament next year. That's pretty lofty. I'm putting that pressure on you guys, but I really think you have an opportunity to do so.
Well, yeah, I mean, we have some talent coming back, and we graduated one kid. It was a big piece to it.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for us all the way too. But what we have to understand is every year's different. Anything can happen. But I guess if you're looking on paper, yeah, we should be right there, and we'll be ready.
Well, you got Preston Patterson, who you're speaking of, going to the University of Cincinnati Christian University. And he was your lone senior. Big kid, played post, obviously. But John Carter and his younger brother, and you've got some pieces to the puzzle coming back. John, arguably, probably going to be the best player in the league before his career is up, if not next year. You got some experience in the region tournament. I don't know, prior to this, if you'd had any experience. Is this the first time that Summit had made it to the –
No, we actually, our very first year, we made it when we were in the AA.
But that was on the AA. But on the AAA level, this is the first time. So that's a big step.
Yep.
That's a whole different level of competition. Of course, once again, in the same thread and same vein as football, didn't know how good our district was until as you got further on down the road. Independence came alive. Franklin had there, you guys are sitting there, and then Brentwood. And you kind of, unfortunately, came in that fourth hole coming into the region tournament, had to face number one Hillsborough on the other side, and gave them fits with a chance. And there's a team that's sitting in the state tournament this year. And you're right there at the end of the game. So, I mean, the future's bright for Coach Ladd and that group.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we were a three-pointer in and out from upsetting Hillsborough,
Absolutely.
I guess. But, that's basketball, and that's the way it goes with all sports. But, that experience was very valuable for moving forward because we were so young this past year.
And I'd forgotten about that. You're right. I was standing directly behind John Carter when he took the shot. It looks good all the way. It goes halfway in and comes back out on a heartbreaker. But, he'll learn from that. The team will learn from that. They'll grow from that. That's a great experience to have. So next year they go in, they'll be more motivated if that chemistry is still there.
And they were a fun team to watch, man. They were the crowd. You were talking about how it's something for them to do. They really took the basketball serious. But that was a fun team to watch. And again, they were young. You got a guy who can score and score a lot of points in Carter. And that, in high school basketball, that always pays off because, when one guy can take it over, if the other were playing well, you got a really good chance.
Well, yeah, John, I mean, he's the offensive Carter, then his brother Ty, he's the defensive Carter. I mean, which both of them can play defense, and Jaden Lewis as well. They can all three do anything on the court. But you're right, it's very fun. It's up and down. It's we're not playing four corners and trying to hold the ball. So it's actually fun to go watch it.
And we've talked about this all year. We could not wait. Game day was so fun down there. I mean, you guys did such a fantastic job in basketball season and having game day. I mean, it was incredible. And I think that the crowd that night, kind of came back, and the crowd support's been great. Now on the girls' side of things. The record didn't indicate how good and how much they had grown throughout the year. I think that Coach Goodwin did a fantastic job. Probably should be up for Coach of the Year, arguably, but we always like to give it to the best record winners or whatever. But from start to finish, man, from the time he finished and got beat on that final buzzer against Brentwood, if I'm not mistaken, they had given all they had wanted up into the last horn.
Yeah, I mean they played hard. They made it to the region as well. I mean, so that was great for them to advance and get into that spot. But yeah, Coach, he's doing a great job.
All right, so let's go into the spring side of things. Let's get to baseball. Let's talk a little bit about baseball. Tell us a little bit about your year, what you had year, and you finished up on a hot streak going through the district tournament there. Take us through the baseball year.
Well, it was, and any baseball coach would tell you, it was a very frustrating year. I mean, like Tate mentioned, the ice we had, and we lost and everybody did, so we're not making excuses because everybody was in the same boat, but we lost an entire week of practice. I mean, an entire week of doing nothing. I mean, we're not talking about in the gym doing something. We couldn't do anything. So that it was tough. It was a tough way to get the season started. Started off pretty good. it was a very streaky year. We'd win 4 or 5, then we'd turn around and we'd lose 3 or 4, and then crank it back up and we'd win 5 or 6 in a row again. But we were out that way the entire season, had a few key injuries that really slowed us down midway through the year, and then we, like I said, we started playing good baseball in the tournament.
Came down to the end. I believe Centennial put you all out in the district tournament. You kind of knew all year long Ravenwood was probably favored to win it. You know, obviously have the best player in the league, and then Centennial was really good too. You all were right there with them, so you know it's got to be, you know, satisfying. At least you were right there at the end, but then to come up that short, especially against teams that you've known for so long. You all, we talk about it in football, but between you and Boffman and Teddy, and you all know each other so well in baseball in this district.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, we're you know, that's some of my good friends. All those guys are, and it's fun to compete against them. It's like our old coach used to say, it's only one thing better than playing your friends, and that's beating your friends. And you know, we got a couple of them, but Boffman had the final say. But yeah, it's you know, people talk about how good the football district is and volleyball and the wrestling, but there's going to be 2 teams from probably Williamson County in the state tournament again this year. There was last year and the year prior. So it's, if you get out of this district, you're got a good shot at going.
So let's talk about that. We were, you know, I was down there at your place the other day, and we got to talking about that. What makes our area so special in baseball, from a baseball perspective? And we can talk about volleyball because they have the travel leagues and they have the facilities that to do off season and so forth. So let's talk about baseball. What causes that to be so successful?
Well, I mean, it's got a lot to do with opportunity. I mean, if you grow up in this area, you've got the opportunity to play a lot. I mean, you know, families are fortunate enough, they've worked hard enough that they can do some things maybe some people can't, and they can provide for their kids. And it starts with like how our kids are, you know, that at the young age we're able to, you know, put them in good youth programs and send them to camps and do that sort of thing, so they maybe get a head start. And there's good athletes in this county as well.
So I want to ask you a question. I know that your son is playing with our CTE director, Dave Allen's son.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to those games, what's it like? I don't think you're helping coach, are you? Or are you?
Not anymore, no. I
Okay,
don't.
so you're sitting in the stands.
Yeah, I'm the guy in right field.
Okay.
Standing by myself.
So you is that by your own design, or is that by your wife telling you to get down there and get away from everybody?
No, I don't. I like watching. Seriously, it's some of my most enjoyable moments is just watching them play, because I mean they're good and it's fun to watch them. I mean I stay out of it.
But it's a different feel. I mean, I've got like we were talking off there. Mine's 7-year-old. We're getting through that. You know, as you've been a coach in the past on the basketball level, but now he's playing baseball. But I'm thinking, it's such a different anxiety. It's such a different feel because you want them to do so well. Not that you don't want your team to do well as a coach in this, but it's a total different feeling. And I know that from your perspective, especially being a head baseball coach on the high school level, to watch and not want to say, hey, guys, we got to do this.
Well, he won't say it. His son is, for a 10-year-old, he's a stud, so that helps.
Well,
He is. He can
but
play.
that's I'm a little bit different, and this is going to sound cliche or whatever. I really don't care. He enjoys it. He has fun with it. The only thing I get after him about is sprinting on and off the field. I can't stand watching those little kids when they halfway jog or whatever. So I just stay on him about that sort of thing. And
I completely understand. You want them to enjoy it while they're doing it. You don't want to be too hard and turn them off. Real quick, we got about 30 seconds. Sarah Lamb, what is she doing for Summit High School?
Oh, she's great. She got the job late the head job late this year, and but she stepped right in, and everybody loves working for her. The coaches love coaching there, and she keeps everything on even keel for everybody, keeps everybody calm. And but it's great.
Well, I appreciate Chad Kirby showing up today for the WCS Sports Connection Game Day. Chad, you do a fantastic job. I love your pride for the school, and best of luck in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is Jeremy Qualls and Tate Mathews. This has been WCS Sports Connection Game Day. We'll see you next time.